Students, the next topic, what we are going to discuss in today's session is moment of inertia. So before going to understand what is moment of inertia, you should know what is inertia. And when we speak about the word inertia, and when we speak about the word moment of inertia, you should have the clear cut idea, or I can say the difference between this inertia and moment of inertia. So for that, I'll give you an example. Here, if you take an object at rest, an object at rest, if you want to change that object state of rest of that object to the state of motion, so there will be some resistance for that, there will be some opposition for that. So the opposition, that is, I can say, the property of the body by virtue of which or by means of which it opposes the change in the state of rest or the change of state of motion, that is called as an inertia. But this inertia we speak only in terms when we are speaking about the translatory motion. I'll take an example here. See, in translatory motion, in translatory motion, a property is there. I'll take an example here. This is a property of the body by virtue of which it opposes the or resist the change of state, and that change of state opposition we are calling it as an inertia. इसे कहते हैं हम inertia. बेटा अच्छे से देखना है आपको, ट्रांसलेटरी मोशन में एक प्रॉपर्टी होती है दैट अपोजेस द स्टेट टू चेंज द स्टेट ऑफ रेस्ट और द स्टेट ऑफ मोशन. जैसा कि मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूं आपको, अगर एक रेस्ट पे बेटा मैं इसको धक्का लगाता हूं, व्हेन आई पुश दैट, तो व्हाट हैपेंस, यू नो, दैट आल्सो अपोजेस, it don't want to change its state of rest. तो हमारे क्या करना पड़ेगा वहां पे हमारे एक फोर्स लगाना पड़ेगा to make that object to be in motion. So that is the resistance offered by that body to change the state of rest. अगर कोई ऑब्जेक्ट मोशन में ही है एंड वी डोंट वांट दैट ऑब्जेक्ट टू बी इन मोशन, हमारे को चेंज करना है उसका स्टेट, तो हमारे को फिर से हमारे को फोर्स लगाना पड़ेगा अपोजिट डायरेक्शन में, दैट आल्सो रेजिस्ट. तो उसमें हम वो सिचुएशन में हम बात करेंगे वहां पे inertia. And you know, you have already studied in your lower classes inertia. What is the measure of inertia? Means mass is the measure of inertia. Mass is the measure of inertia only when we are speaking about the translatory motion. So translatory motion में एक प्रॉपर्टी होती है बेटा, उसको हम बोलते हैं inertia. अगर इसका मेजर में देखता हूं, इसका ही इसी का मैं मेजर देखता हूं, तो यहां पे लिखेंगे हम मास. मास बात करेंगे. Now this is about the translatory motion. Let us move for rotatory motion or rotational motion. What do you mean by the rotational motion? The body, each and every particle of the object will rotate, means that revolve around a fixed axis. That is what you call it as the rotation of the object. So in rotational motion, what you have, you know, there is one property. Again, in rotational motion, one property is there. Property of the body. And this property of the body will not allow the body to change its state of rest or the state of uniform circular motion. यहां पर भी वही प्रॉपर्टी था बेटा, यहां पे भी वैसे ही प्रॉपर्टी थी, that it was not allowing the body to change its state of rest or the state of motion. In the same way, rotational motion में भी एक प्रॉपर्टी होती है that will not allow the body to change its state of rest और द स्टेट ऑफ यूनिफॉर्म सर्कुलर मोशन, उसको चेंज करने नहीं देता है. व्हेन इट इज एट रेस्ट इट वांट टू बी एट रेस्ट ओनली, व्हेन इट इज इन मोशन इट वांट टू बी इन मोशन, उसको अपोज कर देता है. दैट प्रॉपर्टी वी आर कॉलिंग इट एज इन टर्म्स ऑफ रोटेशनल मोशन. हम उसमें उसको बात करते हैं बेटा, दैट इज इसी प्रॉपर्टी को हम बात करेंगे मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया. So I hope you got the point here. Here we are speaking about the inertia, and here we are speaking about the moment of inertia. So the difference between the inertia and the moment of inertia is nothing. Both are the same, but in translatory motion, we use the word of inertia. In rotational motion, we use the word of moment of inertia. Now, students, give the heading moment of inertia of standard objects. moment of inertia of standard objects. So बेटा यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं जस्ट नाउ व्हाट वी हैव सीन मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया हम देखें इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ रेजिस्टेंस फॉर द रोटेटिंग बॉडी. इस डोंट वांट टू गो विद द डेफिनेशन, तो आप इतना याद रखिए कि मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया इज द रेजिस्टेंस फॉर द चेंज in the state of rest or the state of uniform circular motion, that is moment of inertia. And this moment of inertia is different for different objects, so that objects we are going to discuss one by one. The first one you can see rod. Now try to understand what I am doing. Suppose this is the rod, you can see this is the rod, right? अगर बेटा मैं इसको यहां से बीच में से अबाउट द मिड पॉइंट एक एक्सिस मान के चलता हूं, वन एक्सिस इज देयर एंड आई वांट टू रोटेट दिस लाइक दिस. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, आई एम रोटेटिंग लाइक दिस, इस तरह से, ठीक है? मतलब ये बीच में से इस तरह से रोटेट कर रहा हूं बेटा, इस तरह से, इसको इसको यहां से इस तरह से मैं रोटेट कर रहा हूं मिडिल पॉइंट से. आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? यहां देखिए इस तरह से मैं रोटेट कर रहा हूं, आई एम रोटेटिंग लाइक दिस, ठीक है? तो इसको जब मैं रोटेट करता हूं अबाउट द midpoint and passing through the center, midpoint मतलब passing through the center and perpendicular to the length of the rod, तो moment of inertia कितना होगा? Let us see. ये देखिए बेटा, ये होता है एक रॉड और यहाँ पे सेंट्रल एक्सिस और ज्योमेट्रिकल एक्सिस जो बोलना है आप बोल सकते हैं. दिस इज द एक्सिस, डॉटेड लाइन इज द एक्सिस. इस एक्सिस से मैं इसको अगर रोटेट करता हूं, इस तरह से मैं रोटेट करता हूं, तो इन द मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया अंडर दिस सिचुएशन आई एम गोइंग टू गेट इट इज ml square by 12, ml square by 12. M is the mass, L is the length of this rod. M is the mass of the rod, L is the length divided by 12, ml square by 12. So that is the moment of inertia. Now let us move for the second one. Ring. You know what is a ring? Okay. So ring, if suppose I want to rotate the ring, about an axis which is perpendicular to the plane and passing through the center. इस axis से अगर मैं इसको rotate करता हूँ, so how much is the opposition, how much is the resistance for this? Here it is I is equals to mr square. So what is m? M is the mass of the ring and r is the radius of the ring. I hope it is clear. Next we go for the disc. You know the difference between a ring and a disc बेटा, you should know that, ठीक है? Disc मतलब यहाँ पे पूरा filled up material होगा and this will be empty here. So this is the disc, so it is I is equals to mr square by 2. Now pay attention, very important thing. This all everyone can understand. But if I ask you what is the moment of inertia of a cylinder, then if I cylinder मतलब आप just imagine करना है कि भाई whether that cylinder is a hollow cylinder or a solid cylinder. Just if I speak about this word cylinder, that is an incomplete. So you should know the cylinder, what is being asked in the question, whether that cylinder is a solid cylinder or a hollow cylinder. So for that, what we need to go, अच्छे से देखिए बेटा. This is first cylinder ही है, लेकिन मैं इसको hollow cylinder मान के चलता हूँ. First, I am discussing about the hollow cylinder. So hollow cylinder, suppose the mass of this cylinder is m and the radius of this cylinder is r. This is the mass m and radius it is r. Now I am rotating this cylinder about this axis, the east axis से, that is what I can say the geometrical axis से मैं इस पे rotate करता हूँ. Then what is the moment of inertia? So you need not to get confused with that, because you are having the complete what I can say the chart mentioning the moment of inertia one by one. You people find some difficulty in remembering that. No need to remember that. The here very important thing what you have to remember, अगर आप देखते हैं बेटा यहाँ पे ring देखिए, this is a ring. Try to understand, this is a ring, it is mr square, right? अगर मैं रिंग को ही अगर इस तरह से खींचूंगा, मैं इस तरह से स्ट्रेच करूंगा, तो रिंग को स्ट्रेच करेंगे तो व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू गेट? सिलेंडर. एंड दैट रिंग को जब हम स्ट्रेच करते हैं तो वी आर गोइंग टू गेट द हॉलो सिलेंडर. डिस्क है और डिस्क को मैं पकड़कर स्ट्रेच करता हूं, इस तरह से मैं खींचूंगा, तो वो डिस्क जाकर आप क्या बनने वाला है? सॉलिड सिलेंडर. Try to understand, if I stretch or if I pull up that ring को अगर हम खींच के थोड़ा सा लंबा करेंगे, that will looks like a cylinder. So therefore the hollow cylinder बोलिए या ring बोलिए, the formula for moment of inertia is same, mr square ही रहेगा बेटा, no change in that. Next, The fifth one, solid cylinder. Solid cylinder. For solid cylinder, if you see, this is the solid cylinder. Just now I said you that is what I can say, this is solid. तो इसको अगर हम रोटेट करते हैं बेटा तो मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया इट इज सेम एज यूर desk, mr square by 2. Now the next we move for sphere. If I ask you about the sphere, again the two types of spheres you will be getting. One is the hollow sphere, other is the solid sphere. In the problem they are not going to mention whether they want to speak about the hollow sphere or the solid sphere. Sometimes they mention and many times they avoid mentioning that. For example, if they ask you a football, some question is there and they are mentioning that question football, so they are not mentioning whether that is the sphere we are considering it as a hollow or a solid. So football आपको खुद decide करना है कि भाई football is a hollow sphere. They speak about the word, what I can say, the earth. Earth is rotating about its own axis. So वहां पे आपको hollow sphere आप consider करना ही नहीं है, because earth is completely solid and no doubt it is not completely spherical in shape, but we assume for problems we assume it to be a spherical shape. एंड अर्थ की जब बात आती है बेटा तो वहां पे आपको 100% वहां पे आपको यूज क्या करना है, सॉलिड स्फीयर ही यूज करना है. तो समटाइम्स दे मेंशन एंड मेनी टाइम्स दे अवॉइड मेंशनिंग whether the problem framed on that particular object is a solid sphere or the hollow sphere. So let us move with that sixth one, hollow sphere. If I go for hollow sphere, this is the hollow. About this axis, that is the central axis, I'll draw it. ये वाली axis. About the diametric axis. So in this, I is equals to 2 by 3 mr square. This is for the hollow cylinder. Next we move for the solid one, solid sphere, that is for hollow. And solid sphere के लिए देखें बेटा, solid means inside also complete material is there. तो यहाँ पे इस तरह से मैं ड्रॉ कर रहा हूँ, and here it is 2 by 5 mr square. This you have to remember, 2 by 3 and this is 2 by 5. Now let us move for a plate, a rectangular plate I can say. If I take a rectangular plate of length L and breadth B, then what is the moment of inertia associated with that plate about an axis passing through the center of the plate and perpendicular to the plane? Here you can understand by taking the figure. Just imagine a rectangular plate. It is a plate, students. Rectangular plate, you can see this is the rectangular plate of length L and breadth B. Now I am rotating this rectangular plate. You can see this is, just imagine, I'll give you an example here. Suppose this book itself is a rectangular plate, you can consider. Now I want to rotate this. This is the length is L and breadth is B. I want to rotate this like this, इस तरह से rotate करना है. और किस axis से rotate कर रहा हूँ बेटा? About an axis passing through the center of this plate and perpendicular to the plane of the plate like this. And इसको मैं इस तरह से rotate कर रहा हूँ. Try to understand. You can see the situation how I am rotating. This book is getting rotated about an axis of the pen, like something representing by pen. इस तरह से मैं rotate करता हूँ. So in this situation, what is the moment of inertia? The moment of inertia here, the moment of inertia under this situation, it is m into L square plus B square by 12. Now, ninth one, that is a square plate. You know, students, a square means what? The sides will be equal. So here we are finding the moment of inertia of the square plate about an axis passing through the center of the square plate and perpendicular to the plane of the square plate. So under this situation, what I consider the length as A, breadth is also A, because it is a square. So about this axis, if I want to calculate the moment of inertia, then this will be what? I is equals to, try to understand. यहाँ पे देखिए बेटा, rectangle length L है, breadth B है, लेकिन यहाँ पे दोनों sides बराबर है. So therefore m into L is A square, breadth is also A square by 12. Now you can see clearly A square plus A square, how much it is? That is 2A square by 12. So let us simplify it. 2A square by 12. So under this situation, it is m a square by 6. So I hope you have understood the all the concepts dealing with the moment of inertias of the standard objects, like we have seen rod, ring, disc, hollow cylinder, solid cylinder, hollow sphere, solid sphere, rectangular plate, and the square plate.